shall not pass. Welcome back, everybody, to another LEGO Lord of the Rings set review. Hopefully that intro wasn't too cringy for you, but guys, we have the next LEGO Lord of the Rings set to come in this new lineup, and in fact, this is an entirely new subgenre that LEGO is launching called a book nook, and in fact, this is Balrog, aka the Balrog book nook. Fancy, fancy. It's going to retail for $130 US. It's going to go on sale June 1st of 2025. The piece count is 1,201. Set number is 10367. So the price per piece ratio on this one, not great. The initial rumors for this set was $120. Maybe a last minute tariff price change there from $120, $130. We'll talk about pricing towards the end, but already not the greatest value happening here. But at the same time, this is a tough set to review. I mean, I'll be very interested in building this set, seeing if it's worth the price that LEGO's asking for. The book nook concept is pretty straightforward. It's basically a convertible build that either you can display as a normal LEGO set, like spread open like this on your normal shelf like I have behind me, or you can fold it up and actually put it on a bookshelf alongside books like, say, The Lord of the Rings by Tolkien, and that actually makes sense for this specific concept. Now, this is not the first book nook LEGO set coming out. There's actually one more also launching on June 1st, which is this right here, the Sherlock Holmes book nook, and in fact, I'll be comparing the set here shortly against Balrog. We'll be seeing, are there some differences? Which one's better? And in fact, they're both the same price point at $130. And the Sherlock Holmes set has an extra 100 pieces and more minifigures. So yeah, I don't know. This one's not looking exactly like the greatest value. I'm curious how Lord of the Rings fans are going to feel about this set. It's a completely new concept against everything that we've gotten thus far. So that's Rivendell, Balrog, and of course the Shire that we just got a few months ago. Is this going to be something fans are going to like? I really, really don't know. I saw this concept last year, so I've been sitting on this for about 9 months now, and I was questioning it then, and today I'm still questioning it as well. And to be fair, I mean, this is Balrog with Gandalf. This is an iconic moment from Fellowship of the Ring. There could be some hidden value here. We won't know until we open it. I definitely want to build this set, so I do want to thank LEGO for sending this set over for review, and without further ado, let's go into the in-depth and see this brand new book nook concept. And we're off to a very good start here, guys. No stickers. Now that is refreshing to say. Absolutely zero stickers in this set. Now, inside the book, of course, you'll have a full introduction talking about this set, the iconic scene that this represents from the Fellowship of the Ring. This whip here, we'll talk about this because it actually plays into the set in a little bit of a funny way as well. You'll see what I'm talking about here in a minute. But here it is, the LEGO Lord of the Rings Balrog book nook. And I like this one. It's refreshing. It's a new concept. And it works for this scene. It doesn't feel out of place. And I gotta say, Gandalf just standing right here on the ledge looks perfect. So let's take a look at the Gandalf minifigure. As you can see, this is actually the same exact one that you're going to get from the Shire. And that was a new version. Basically, it was a new head print. Otherwise, the body and torso were the same actually from the Rivendell set. So this is just basically another way to get Gandalf if you didn't want to get the Shire set, which I wouldn't blame you given how overpriced that set was. This one, on the other hand, not as bad, but still pricey. We'll talk about that here later. Of course, at the bottom here, we have a 2x6 tile that says, "You shall not pass," the iconic quote that's been memed all over the internet. It's here in the set, which is wonderful. And then this is the whole book nook concept. You can open it up or you can close it into an actual formation that can fit beside your books. And it totally works, and we'll actually see what that looks like here in a few minutes. Now, as we go through the set, you'll see that it's actually fairly detailed. It looks good pretty much from every angle, which I think is what you would want here. Now, I gotta say, the details are actually surprisingly here as well. Again, this is a very strange concept. We kind of have to open our minds up here and kind of take it for what it is. It's not a normal Lego set that we're all used to. It's trying to be two things at the same time, something to fit on a bookshelf and also please Lego fans as a diorama. Now, as a Lego set, does this actually achieve what you would expect a Lord of the Rings set to bring to the table? And arguably, I would say yes. I actually like what's going on here. You can pretty much play with this just like any other Lego set. Just because it's something that can fit on a bookshelf doesn't mean it's automatically limited to just that way of display and that way of play. And in terms of playability, well, we'll talk about that here in a second, but we have to mention the details here. Something that really stood out to me is, while this is a very simple structure with these columns here, I gotta say, hands down to the designer for this gradient from going from dark tan to medium nougat to dark orange, like mwah, chef's kiss. I love that glow from the flames, and that's being shown through the Lego piece color. Like, just little attentions to detail make this set really come alive. Now, as for the connection point between the book nook, when you're closing it, it's actually just tiles sliding on tiles. There's no actual connection between that, which kind of caught me off guard, but surprisingly, it works enough where it's not falling off or anything like that. Moving on to Balrog, the giant brick-built figurine, the mainstay of the set, I gotta say, Lego knocked it out of the park here. These wings are actually being reutilized from a gift with purchase. Some of you might remember the Fell Beast that came with Balrog. That was an exclusive that sold out in a day, and those are now being brought down here for the Balrog, and that actually makes total sense. Plus, you also have a new way of bricklinking that set. Now, these are printed eyes. Remember, there's no stickers in this set, and I gotta say, wonderful details here. And it's not just all reliant on printed pieces. The build here, the execution of all these movable limbs is excellent. There is a ridiculous amount of posability, much more than I was expecting for this character to have at this scale. You have some very heavy wings on the back, and surprisingly, it's all stable. You can completely get a ton of different action poses. And one of my favorite, of course, is to add the whip here. And this is just such an ingenious parts usage. They have the Wolverine claw at the end, acting as the very tail that grabs Gandalf, and it works so well. And you can also play around with this set. I know the box says 18 plus, but well, the inner child in me came out, and I just had a little bit of fun. Nothing to see here. Nothing. Let's move on. Now, on the back of Balrog, you see that he also has a posable tail as well. Now, just the overall aesthetic and look of this character is straight 10 out of 10 in my opinion. As for how he integrates into the book nook, it's actually pretty ingenious. There's just some Technic pins here, and the wings kind of slide into the columns. There's a little window piece that it kind of sits in, and it sounds complicated, but in reality, it's really ingenious and totally works, and surprisingly is stable as well. And I gotta give props to the designer for making such an easy way to take this figure on and off, and yet integrate into the book nook perfectly. It's really cool in practice. And it's even more of an achievement that this set is stable enough that you can pick it up from the top and just move it around and nothing shifts, nothing breaks off. That says a lot about the design. Now, finally, what does Balrog look like on a bookshelf? Because this is a book nook set. And so thank you to my wonderful fiance Darby for lending her bookshelf for this video, and I plopped it right into the bookshelf, and as you can see, it works perfectly. It's almost the same exact size as your common books, especially hardback, and you can see it blends in well. Like, if you weren't really looking for it, it kind of blends in with everything, which I think works to its advantage. But now let's take a look at the other book nook that's also launching right alongside this set, which is the Sherlock Holmes one. And as you can see, there's some notable differences. The price tag is the same between these sets, $130, but notably the Sherlock Holmes set has 100 more pieces for the same price, as well as having 5 minifigures versus Balrog here just having Gandalf, 1 minifigure, which really shows that at least on paper, the Sherlock Holmes set is a better value. Now, as you can see here, Balrog and the book nook is bigger, it's taller, it has a little bit more gravitas in my opinion, but at the same time, the Sherlock Holmes set has more detail and, it's a cityscape. So they're completely different sets, yet at the same time, I would say the Sherlock Holmes adds a little bit more with these extra hidden Easter eggs, a little bit of extra detail, but there's also stickers in this set. So really hard to weigh the pros and cons between these sets, but I would say overall you're getting more value out of the Sherlock Holmes set than you are with Balrog, which is unfortunate and does show that, in my opinion, this set is overpriced. Now let's of course bring in some other Lord of the Rings sets. So of course the most recent being The Shire, a $270 set with 9 minifigures versus this $130 set. And honestly, they have a very similar footprint. It's kind of surprising, at least when you have the book nook open. But what about Balrog? I think this is kind of the two sets you would want, at least in my opinion, to put them side by side. They're both dark forces, and I gotta say they do look really cool next to each other. It works. I could see this. And I gotta say, I like this. I dig this set simply because of this right here, of what's happening on screen. Like, this is cool, guys. And you don't have to leave Balrog in that book now. You can have him right alongside Balrog as well, which I think just makes the set that much better. Overall, though, this is a good Lego Lord of the Rings set. This is an interesting set as a book nook, and it does work as something that can sit on your bookshelf. So I think it surprisingly will please the two fans that it's after. So this whole book nook concept kind of has me stumped as a reviewer. I'm not exactly the target audience for the book aspect of this set or the Sherlock Holmes set, for example. I'm not an avid reader, but my fiance is. As you guys saw, I used her bookshelf to put these on, and it definitely works. It looks really cool. It's a very interesting concept. I just don't know how book fans are gonna like this concept, whether they accept it or not, whether this is something that interests in that. And I also don't know what the crossover between avid readers and Lego fans is either. So only time will tell with how this set sells. But as a Lego Lord of the Rings set, let's take the book nook concept out of the question here. Is this a genuinely good set? And in my opinion, I actually like it. I do think it's good. It's not mind-blowing. It's not Balrog. It's not Rivendell. But it is a cool concept and something for this particular scene. It works. Like, I'm just trying to imagine, take the book nook concept out of this as well. If you just made it a normal Lego set, it would look pretty similar to this, maybe a little bit bigger. That's about it. It wouldn't look all that different than what Lego has already achieved here. And this is an iconic scene from Fellowship of the Ring. So yeah, I think Lord of the Rings fans would be absolutely interested in having this type of set. It's just the book nook concept is just another thing thrown onto it. And if you don't like it, obviously you can just completely open it up and you'll never even really realize, in my opinion, that it is like meant to go on a bookshelf. And I like that. So there's an appeal for a Lego fan. There's this new appeal for novelists, for readers, and there's a combination happening here. Now, does that make that worth the price that Lego is asking for here? $130. I mean, I gotta say, it's refreshing not to have a single sticker in a set. That was nice to see. But at the same time, $130, 1,200 pieces. As I was building the set, it felt like a $100 set. I was able to build this one very quickly. I did like some of the techniques, though. I do like some snot techniques. The Balrog himself is really interesting to build. Looks great alongside Balrog. I like that aspect. I just don't think it quite adds up to the price tag that Lego's asking for. $130 just seems a little too far on this one. So yeah, it's $30 too expensive. If it comes down in price, whether you pick it up on sale somewhere, whether Lego discounts it, whether you use points off lego.com, whatever it takes, but I wouldn't recommend this set per se at $130. It's not a bad set for $130. I just don't think you're getting exactly the best value, especially when we compare it to that Sherlock Holmes set. That's an IP set that has 5 minifigures, that has more pieces. And even if it was $120, which I think was the initial rumor for this, I still would have thought it was too expensive. I think $100 really genuinely is what this set value should be at, given what you're getting out of this set. It's nothing crazy. It's really just a display set. I mean, you can take Balrog, you can take Gandalf off this, but really, you're going to be putting this on display, whether that's next to your other Lord of the Rings sets, whether this is on a bookshelf, it's up to you. I like the concept. It's interesting. It appeals to different fan bases. I think it might be a winner. We'll see. The price tag is questionable. I don't think a lot of people are going to want to pick this up at $130, but once it gets down to that $100 or less, I could see this being an appealing one. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Are you going to be picking up the Balrog Book Nook Lego Lord of the Rings set? If you're a fan of one or the other, whether you're a fan of reading, whether you're a fan of Lord of the Rings, maybe you're both, let me know down in the comments below. Is this a set you want? I'm genuinely curious. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks again to LEGO for sending this set over for review. Hope you guys have a great, wonderful day, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.